So first of all, every business has a culture. Whether you've done it by design or whether it's just kind of happened, you have a culture. And it's sort of like an employer brand. If you were to step out of a room and your former, current, and prospective employees were in a room, what are they saying about your business as a place to work? That's kind of indicative of your culture, right? And culture is critical today. Number one, if you don't have a good culture, you're probably not having a lot of fun as a business owner. Number two, culture is more important to the younger generations that are in the workforce, right? And by the way, your culture is now on display. There's something called Glassdoor. And if you haven't checked out what other people are saying about what it's like to work in your company, I highly encourage you to do so. And of course, the truth is that this goes back to Peter Drucker, right? Culture eats strategy for breakfast. And culture will affect the success of your business probably more than any other factor.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today we talk about culture. When you think about your own culture, hopefully you are living in a culture that you love, that gives you a stress-free, high performance, and you are meeting and adaptable to all the challenges around you. And I know the reality of that is it's not always quite the way we want it. So today we're going to talk about building a culture by design. We have a co-founder with us of Work Better Now. They are an offshore talent company, and we have Rob Levin. Rob and I really dive into his perspective of culture, and creating a culture by design really requires you to have a very intentional aspect and the core principles. Yours may be a little bit different because you may see things that you want to include, but he highlights what his core principles are. We do talk quite a bit about values and the importance of that and how you're living the values, not just having them. All of that to be said, he also talks about the importance of putting talent first. One of the things that I've done, I don't do it as much anymore, but I just want to share this little bit of data with you because I think it's really interesting. Fast growth companies think differently than slower growth companies. And I've been asking this question for a long time. And typically fast growth companies will answer it one way. And I call it the impossible question. What's more important as you grow your company? Is it the customers or talent? And you have to really look at this. I know it requires both. Everyone knows that you have to have customers to pay bills and customers to do work for, but you have to have employees to scale and do that work. But Rob says put talent first. And 93% of the people that have been on this podcast, when I used to ask this question on a very regular basis, will say that its employees are more important than customers. And because what I believe is when you take care of those employees, they will take care of those customers. I just wanted to share that little insight with you that I didn't get to talk about in today's conversation, but I wanted you to have it. So today we talk about culture by design. My name is Gene Hammett. I'm an executive coach. We do leadership development inside of companies that are growing fast. So if you have a big opportunity in front of you and you want to make sure that your leadership is all aligned together, this means the CEO leadership skills and mindset. This is the executive team skills and really have that sense of alignment where you are able to be adaptable and have the ability to meet that opportunity at the highest level of performance and execution. Then you want to have a conversation with me because I've got a lot of tools that we use to analyze where you are to see what's getting in the way and help you address that, prioritize those things. And it's absolutely free. I think it's just an incredible opportunity. If you're, running this company and you want to make sure that you're ready, we can have the conversation. My intention is not to sell you anything. My intention is to serve you, to help you really clearly think about what's in front of you and really get to the bottom of it. If you're curious about that, just set it up with me, gene@genehammett.com. That's my email address. I promise not to sell you. I promise to serve you and leave you much more clear and ready to execute. If you want us to help and discuss, execution and coaching, whatever it may be, happy to do that for you as well. But that'll be in a separate conversation is my promise to you. And just send me an email, gene@genehammett.com. Now here's the interview with Rob Levin. Hey, Rob, how are you?
Good, Gene. How are you?
I'm fantastic. We're going to have a great interview today to talk about building a culture by design. You work with an incredible company that's had tremendous growth over recent years. Tell us about Work Better Now.
Yeah, I'll give you the short version because I can talk forever about this. It's been the coolest thing that I've ever done. And what we do is we provide high performing talent that works remotely out of their homes in Latin America for US-based small and mid-sized businesses, 5 different buckets of roles: sales, marketing, finance, and bookkeeping, customer service, and admin. And that includes executive assistants, because we firmly believe every business owner should have an assistant. Or as our buddy Jack Daly says, if you don't have an assistant, you are an assistant. We take out in addition to all of that, we take out 95% of the process of hiring, which most small and mid-sized businesses are not good at and don't particularly enjoy. And it's been a rocket ship over the past few years, and we're having a ball.
I love the industry that you're in. I've invested in offshore talent for years. One of the drawbacks is it's very tactical. So if you have SOPs, if you have these things, and some of those can be created, but it's not very strategic. Would you say that your talent is a little bit different with that, or
Very
is it still
different.
tactical?
Very different. Yeah, I was almost nodding my head violently when you said, you need to have the SOPs. In fact, what a lot of our clients do is they don't have the SOPs, and they get we call them WBN certified professionals. They get our certified professionals to create the SOPs, often with the assistance these days of AI. So yeah, we have people that are in managerial roles at our company. In fact, 80% of our company is based in Latin America, including some of the people on the leadership team that started out coming out of the same pool that we provide to our clients. So we're really tapping into an awesome talent pool throughout Latin America.
Fantastic. I love it. I think a lot of companies should be looking at this, because it's not just about saving money. To me, it's about the culture has a sense of loyalty, and especially the Philippines. And I'm not that familiar with what it is, South America, but I would imagine they're very happy to have a job. They're happy to do the work that's supposed to. They're not like slacking off and quitting and whatnot. They are typically doing an incredible amount of work for the time that they put in, and they're very focused. And I love this feature. I have other clients that use this too, and I see it the same thing.
Yeah, great attitudes. Our mission is to help amazing talent and amazing company fulfill their dreams, and that's what our certified professionals are doing for their clients. Unlike a lot of, let's put it this way, our clients will tell you that some of their highest performers are the WBN certified professionals that they have on their team, because they're just dedicated to the mission and the vision that's set by the owner, and making that a reality. Not only great attitudes, but fantastic experience, a can-do attitude. It's amazing.
Well, we didn't come here to talk about your business specifically, but we did want to look at the culture and what our research has done, and what we're going to talk about today is building a culture by design. So where would we start in this conversation?
So there's many places we can start. The place where I would start is So first of all, every business has a culture. Whether you've done it by design or whether it's just kind of happened, you have a culture. And it's sort of like an employer brand. If you were to step out of a room and your former, current, and prospective employees were in a room, what are they saying about your business as a place to work? That's kind of indicative of your culture, right? And culture is critical today. Number one, if you don't have a good culture, you're probably not having a lot of fun as a business owner. Number two, culture is more important to the younger generations that are in the workforce, right? And by the way, your culture is now on display. There's something called Glassdoor. And if you haven't checked out what other people are saying about what it's like to work in your company, I highly encourage you to do so. And of course, the truth is that this goes back to Peter Drucker, right? Culture eats strategy for breakfast. And culture will affect the success of your business probably more than any other factor. So I would say it's kind of important.
I work in this area through executive coaching, and I have a lot of clients that are looking to redesign their culture, reimagine it, get a turnaround going on. And yes, we do that. But when you look at the bottom line of culture, how do you describe that to other CEOs that maybe don't have the kind of culture that you've created?
The best way for me to describe it is to talk about the culture that we created at Work Better Now. And this is not about the company, but about what we created. So my partner and I came up with the idea, or we decided to start the business in a bar. And as we had so many great ideas over the years in a bar. And I had the idea, and he said he wanted to do it with me. And I said, look, I'm just telling you right now, we're going to put our talent first. And you have to tell me right now if you're okay with that. And that was the first part of starting our our culture. And today we have, 40 people on our team, plus all of the hundreds of people working for our clients. But if you sat in one of our meetings, not to mention looked at our results, but if you just sat and you just saw the energy and how willing people are, how open to change they are, how they'll kind of do anything that's asked of them, how respectful they are to one another. It's a great place to work, and our results speak for themselves. We ranked very high on this year's Inc. 5000, our first year of eligibility. We're growing exponentially, pretty close to exponentially. And I would say it's largely due to the culture. Strategy definitely has a part in it, and we made a lot of good strategic moves based on all of the crappy strategic moves we made in previous companies that we had. But culture's definitely been the driver.
I know that it impacts the bottom lines when I asked the question, but I wanted you to highlight it. Now let's dive into sort of the core components of culture when you're thinking about building a culture by design.
Yeah, so I think it starts with core values. That's the biggest. We have 6 core values. I won't go into them now. But it's not just about putting them up on our website, sharing them with the team. It's about living them. And one of the things we do is we have an award process. It's called the W Awards. There's a blog on our website about it, and we're recognizing people based upon how they go above and beyond what's expected of them, and tying it into one of the core values. So we're constantly talking about the core values. We're evaluating our people based on that. We hire based on that. We fire based on that. I think that is really where it starts, the core values. And then the other part of it is having a compelling mission and vision. So a mission, things that people can really feel excited about. When we talk about progress in the company, we don't talk about revenue. We talk about how many WBN certified professionals are working for our clients. That's how we measure it, because that's all about impact, and our culture is all designed around that. And then the last thing I'll say is we also introduced this idea of creating wow experiences, not only for our clients, but for our talent, our certified professionals, for our vendors, for our partners. Let's just make this a fun and enjoyable place to work, and with everybody, and for everybody that's around us.
Let me interject here a little bit, because core values is something that I think a lot of people have, but not many people live by them. When you think about what your core values are, they should be the things that you're doing on a regular basis, not just the aspirational things, who we hope to be, but who we are. You look at your high performers, you look at your foundership structure, and you look at the values you have. Because if you hire people that don't have the same values of being proactive or being creative or being, in a certain way, they're out of alignment, it will add to the stress. It will add to the lack of trust and collaboration. And so when you actually have them and you understand that there's many touch points at which a core value is throughout the organization. Some of those are hiring, some of those are onboarding, some of those are leadership and decision-making, exiting, obviously, and there's many, many more. If you want the full list, send me an email about core values, and I'll give you the frameworks that we've created for our clients, and that are in our, a book that we will be publishing soon. Just send that email to gene@genehammett.com. Now back to Rob. I so much agree about the values. I thought my next book would be around values. I've said that a couple of times, but we ended up writing the Tough Conversations book first. And I have basically a half-written manuscript on operationalizing your core values and living by them and working by them. Mission and vision is always important, and everyone kind of heard these before. One thing that I haven't heard, I'd love for you to go give us some details about these wow experiences, and maybe even tell us a story about how they impact the culture.
So I don't know, a few years ago, as my role as visionary of the company, I just kind of put these thoughts that I've had in my mind literally for probably 20 years down on paper, share them with the team. And it really started with, how do we have more fun in the company? Now, when you're rude to somebody, you're probably not having fun, at least not in our company, because if you're having fun by being rude, you're not going to be a good fit, right?
Yeah.
But when you're polite to somebody, when you're helping somebody, when you go above and beyond, and when somebody is working with you, whether it's a colleague, a vendor, a client, and they just go, wow, this has been a great conversation, this has been a great experience. Think about how that makes you feel as a person. It makes you feel great, right? So we just started, putting in place this, it's just a concept. Let's create wow experiences. And I think what made it really special was we didn't just make it about wow experiences with clients. So we talk about, let's look at our entire recruitment process for our certified professionals. How can we make those wow experiences? One example is, we get 4,000 to 5,000 applications a month, and our recruiting team screens that down to the top 1, 2, sometimes 3%. So several thousand people are not getting accepted and certified into our system. How can we make their experience better? So one of the things we do is we provide formalized feedback to them about some elements of how they did in the recruiting process, so that we can add value to them. That's just a good example of wow experiences.
You're more selective than Harvard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When you think about these wow experiences, is there a specific story or something that your team has created that you could share with us that everyone could learn from?
I love the one I just talked about, which is how I asked the recruiting department,
Yep.
how can we create wow experiences for the 4,500 people every month who apply who don't get in, and they came up with this idea of providing feedback, which I think is great, which by the way, we've gotten some of those people on Glassdoor saying, hey, I didn't get a job with these guys, and I thought that they were awesome. Now, what do you think? What kind of message does that send, right? It's really, really powerful. And then, I'm friends with a lot of our clients, especially those that are here in New York with me. And I just love getting that text saying, hey, Rob, I just had a deal. I had a problem, and I dealt with your company. I dealt with somebody from your company, so-and-so from your company. And I got to tell you, I can't believe how well they dealt with the problem and how quick they got back to me and wanted to make sure I was all set. It's awesome. Nothing makes me happier.
So Rob, we're talking about building and designing that culture, being intentional about it. We've talked about the values. We've talked about the mission and vision, not a lot, and the wow experiences. What about leadership? How does leadership create the culture that you guys have enjoyed?
I think it's a few things. Number one, it's walking the walk, right? So, as leaders, we're very cognizant about how we come across to the company. There's the way we look at it is we're serving everybody else in the company. Particularly, take me as the co-founder and visionary. I'm not too involved operationally, and I let everybody in the team know, hey, if you want to leverage my experience and my background, you just reach out to me at any time. I'm here to serve you. I think that's part of it. The other thing is do our actions good represent? Do they represent our culture well, right? So number one, are we hiring people according to our culture? And I'll give you a story. I don't want to go into too much detail here, but we hired somebody earlier this year that just did not fit in with the culture, and it didn't matter what his or her results were like. We had to help that person find a more appropriate place to work. Let's put it that way, because they didn't fit in with the culture. So are we walking the talk, or whatever that expression is?
Now, Rob has just talked about leadership and walking the walk. Another way to say that is to lead by example. You can't expect your employees to be proactive if all you do is address the fires and put things out. Being proactive means that you've got fire prevention. And that's just one example, but you've got to understand the power of lead by example. You want to make sure that you are communicating effectively and even explicitly. Sometimes you're listening, that you're understanding, you're calm when you need to be, you're patient. All of those things trickle down, the good traits and the bad. And so if you, for example, are not addressing tough conversations, like the book that I've written with my wife, How to Have Tough Conversations, and I'll hold up for you if you're on video. If you're not addressing them well, then others won't address them well either. If you're hitting them head on, you're doing it with a structured framework like the one that's in this book, then that will trickle down to the organization. So just keep that in mind as you continue to lead your high-paced organization, and you want this culture by design. Back to Rob. Yeah, I want to go into something you said there, and I'm not trying to see if this is possibly true, but I just, you said we help them find another place to work. Do you literally help someone that you're?
No, what I was first of all,
okay.
If we can, we will, right? I mean,
Yeah.
As long as there's nothing that was terribly negative that happened,
right?
Even people where there's not a fit, if there's anything we could do for them, we're happy to do it. It's just the way we are, especially given what we do. It's very career oriented, right? I mean, we have 450 plus 40 careers that are, that we really touch upon. So that's important to us. We just do whatever we can for anybody who touches us. It's part of the wow experience.
Rob, you've been a leader for a long time. You've been running, this company and probably other companies.
Yeah.
Is there a moment or inflection point in your own leadership where what you had read in books just didn't work for you, and you realized a little bit better way to approach that, whether it be culture or leadership?
The only thing that comes to mind, and I'm sure there's better examples, but right off the top of my head, I'm sure I read Jack Welch's book way back then. He was the former CEO of GE, and at a period where he drove incredible results for the company. And he was pretty hardcore about talent, and something about firing the bottom 10 or 20% of your organization every year. Now, my partner Andrew and I, we have really aggressive goals, and you're either on board or you're not. But we're not looking to get rid of the bottom. We don't grade the entire organization and then rank them and all of that stuff. We always are looking for great people, and if somebody's underperforming, we address it, and we try to address it right away. But I remember reading that book thinking, like, I don't know, it's not the way I want to live my life.
I agree with you. We do have to take care of the things. And it's one reason why I wrote the book, and anyone who's looking online, my Neon, How to Have Tough Conversations, giving people feedback is an important piece of that. When you think about, creating a culture by design, is there anything that we've left out of the conversation that you feel like is pertinent?
We started this company 6 years ago, and we had an opportunity to create the culture that we always wanted to have as entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of easier to do it when you're doing it at the beginning. The question is for the millions of businesses that are out there today that may not have the culture that they want, is it too late? No, it's not too late. Yes, the best time to build the culture you want was, when you started the company. The second best time is today. And I think some of the best places to start are, where do you want to be? Where do you define what you want your culture to be? Get particularly your A players involved in that process. Survey your existing employees. You may even want to use an outside vendor for this, like an HR company, about what the culture is today, and work with, explain, like, hey, this is where we want to be. And just get the entire company on board. Recognize places where people are really living up to the culture. And for those that aren't on board with the new culture, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. But you have to make those decisions, because those A players that are into the culture and perform really well, they won't work with for a long period of time with those people that really aren't carrying their weight, whether it's from a performance or from a cultural standpoint.
Totally agree with you, Rob. I really appreciate the insights you've shared with us today. Thank you for being here on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Gene. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Rob and I had a great conversation about creating a culture by design. And a culture by design means that you know what the core elements are, that you are able to create something that people love to work in. They perform at a high level. It's a lower stress environment, and the toxicity of employees and whatnot are weeded out very quickly. If not at all, that maybe they don't even show up when you have the right kind of culture, because your hiring practices are dialed in. But all of the things that we talked about today are very helpful for you to create a better run, healthier company that performs at a high level. So hopefully you took a lot of insights around this and were able to execute on what we talked about today. And if there's any way I can help you, make sure to send me an email, gene@genehammett.com, or just keep listening to the podcast. We're happy to have you as listeners and serve you in any way we can. When you think about growth and you think about leadership, think about Growth Think Tank. As always, the courage. We'll see you next time.